Hello, everybody, and welcome to another My Music. Today, I'm going to be joined by Rick. Now, you might know Rick from a band called Ash. I remember because, grew up with them in the 90s when they wrote 1977, the first album.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, which I also remember because I actually was around in the 70s as well. I am that old. Yeah, 1977. It was actually quite a good year for music, 1977, as it were. But anyway, we're here to talk about Burned as Witches, which Rick has formed, played every note on when he's produced this album. And we'll find out all about that straight after the Dancing Cat.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Thanks, Rick, for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
This album that you've produced, Burned as Witches, and I want to come back to the name because that name takes me back to my middle school.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to middle school, which is, for some people, they don't know what one of those is, but it was between the lower school and an upper school. We had a middle school, and you only went there for a few years, and you went on a bus. And I had the most brilliant history teacher of all time called Mr. Kipplewhite. God rest his soul, he's not with us any longer. But he did this whole part of history where people did burn witches. And he used to literally get people up on the table at school, and then we do trial by ordeal.
Wow.
Yes, with
Amazing.
said person, and then obviously they got burnt. And it's an interesting title, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it's like, for me, it means damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned school as well, because I think the title sort of is like a little bit to do, not with so much history, but more my English class.
Oh,
Where
really?
we did The Crucible by Arthur Miller, which is all about like McCarthyism and stuff like that. So it's like kind of that analogy of witches as as political, like, crucifixion, I guess, is where the title came from. But yeah, that's interesting, because I did actually have someone like ask me, it's like, you got witches in the title of the band. It's like, you better have some female members in the band. And I was like, well, it's not literally about witches. And I was up for having female members, but unfortunately they went off and they had their own band going, so that didn't happen. But yeah, it's like, I think a few people have taken the witch thing literally. It's a bit more of a metaphor.
Yeah. Well, I think partly there's more of an interest now in witches. I've had a lot of people on this program that have talked about modern day witchcraft. I think that's quite interesting. I think there's an interest in that. But I mean, if you look at some of the kind of sound references or audio references, if you like, on this album as well. I mean, you've got the T-shirt on today as well. Zeppelin, I mean, I remember sitting around one of my mates when I was about 11 or whatever, was about 10 years older than me. I know that sounds a bit odd, but it wasn't back then. We came from a small village, and it was okay. And I used to go through his record collection. He was massively into Zeppelin, Yeah. But I remember feeling like, and he was part of the church group. My mum was like a leader in like the local church group, and it all felt a bit naughty because it's like you open up these album covers and there's like the occult rings and the pentagons and you start getting into Rush and Led Zeppelin, and it's like, this song is actually about the devil.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally with you there. As my dad was like an elder in the church back home as well, and I was coming home with like Black Sabbath records. So yeah.
It's like, did you used to get given the tapes about backmasking as well? Like
Yeah,
something.
I think I remember they got like going to see this like madman from America who was like going on about like it's like Satan and rock and stuff, and he came to do this big talk. And I remember like telling him I was like I just started playing drums at that point, and I was a drummer, and I was like going like, that's a really dangerous thing to be doing. You shouldn't be doing that. It's like it plays havoc with your sex drive and stuff like this. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Why are you telling a young boy that? I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna.
I was like probably like 14 at the time or something like that, and it's just like that's probably not what you wanted to tell me, But
No,
yeah, just like mad things and like and weird stuff about like sort of like he'd obviously been to like a recording studio, and he was going like, yeah, these recording studios, they're full of computers, like no one plays a note in these records, because he's been in there and he's seen like dials flashing like that, and it's going like, okay, I mean it's called a compressor. You know what I mean?
Was that what was one of the things though that drew you to doing this? You wanted to get back to like the big riffs and the,
Yeah. I mean, it's like I was just like thinking last night. This slight bit of a tangent, but Artemis 2 launched last night, and the ESA have actually used an Ash track Ad Astra as like the soundtrack for that, which is amazing. So it's like, it's like I'm going like, well, it's kind of interesting. It's like Ash are going to the stars, It's like I've got one band going to like celestial bodies, going to heaven, and then I'm doing this album at the same time, which is like just descending into hell, So it's like an interesting dichotomy there for sure.
I love that. Do you know, it's great actually being involved in any of those kind of space program type things. I had Steve Rothery from Marillion on here before, and Tim Peake, I think, when he went up, used one of their tracks and played it back to Earth. I mean, it's kind of a weird feeling, isn't it, that you've got music going up in space and it's coming coming
Absolutely.
back.
Yeah, and just happening to do this, like, it's the first really like specifically space related thing that Ash have done in a long time. And then suddenly it's just like seems to have like caught a bit of the zeitgeist, and next thing we know it, we're on a rocket to the moon. Metaphorically speaking, we're this is a rocket.
In terms of these songs, then now you're working them up with a band, Mike and George. Where did you find Mike and George?
It's kind of weird. Like George is really like he was in a band with the guy who was like the indirect sort of inspiration for the whole project, who was Steve Strange, who was our agent going back to like 1995. Our first agent. We've been with him since then. He was from back home. It's like his career kind of like went like that in tandem with us. We were his first band to break. But then, tragically, he passed away, and there was like a memorial show for him in Belfast. And I'd known George for a little while, and I knew him to talk to, but we just happened to be on the same flight. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll give you a lift home." So he gave me a lift home, and then we kept in touch after that. And then I told him about the record, and he was like, "Well, I hope you've decided who the bass player is." Then, so he was straight in. And then Mike is actually my younger brother, who like some of the Ash fans may remember him from like about 15 years ago. He teched for me and Mark for a good few years. So and he's an amazing drummer, and he's perfect for it because he's a total metalhead through and through. So yeah, it's like a nice little bit of serendipity there, getting George in as well. So it's like it's a nice little 3-piece.
You said on one of your little videos on Instagram, I think, when you were going to rehearse with them for the first time, you said, "Oh, you feel a bit nervous." Was it kind of nervous coming out from behind the drum kit and being with a guitar?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just like completely out of my comfort zone. It's like I can play a bit of guitar, but just the experience of like being the only guitarist in the band and the lead singer at the same time, and just sort of having to juggle those two roles, it can kind of like, it's interesting. It can kind of sympathize quite a lot with Tim and what burdens are put on you. It's just like having to divide your brain into two, which I don't know, might be a kind of drummer thing as well. You kind of have to divide yourself into feet and hands at the same time, which is, the coordination stuff. So there's, maybe I think my brain might be wired to it. I'm kind of getting used to it now, but I remember we did one gig in Glasgow last year, and it was like the minute we finished the gig, everyone was like, "Oh, how did it go?" And I'm like, I don't remember any of it. It was just like completely blanked out because it was just pure focus the whole time. There wasn't a minute so I was like, right, here comes, it's like the minute you stop singing, here comes the guitar solo, and then the minute that stops, into lyrics, then moving on. It was just like an out of body experience. So I'm looking forward to these gigs, and hopefully I'll be able to kind of take it in a little bit more.
Yeah. Now tell me about the video for the sort of lead track as well, because you're tied to a fence.
Yeah, I mean, the whole concept of the video was down to Anthony Neal, who he's done like countless videos for Ash over the last couple of years, and his videos are just like really different to what we've ever done before, and he just really conceptualizes things. He references like loads of like great films and stuff as well. So yeah, I'm not sure where the fence tying bit came from, but definitely the hotel room scenes were definitely a nod to like Apocalypse Now, and
like
Charlie
How
Sheen's
long were you actually on that fence for, though?
Because like, probably about 3 hours, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
There was like multiple takes, and it was like, this is back in February as well. And I was going like, I'm there just like, in fact, I'm probably wearing almost the same as I'm wearing right now, but yeah, it was just like, oh man, this is going to be cool. But I was just like struggling against that fence for like so long. It was like, oh, this is quite nice, and at least it wasn't raining.
Yeah, people don't realise it though, unless they've done any kind of acting or whatever. And I did a little bit when I was younger in like little films and whatever. You do the same thing over and over again. It gets like gets to the point where you're like probably literally feeling it. Like I want to get away from this fence.
Yeah, I wasn't quite tied up. That was the thing. I was kind of like struggling, but trying not to make it look like it was just I could just walk away. So it was a little bit, and I don't know if like there was a few cars driving past. It was like, help!
Quick, give me a sip of coffee in between. Someone. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, what are you talking about on this album for anyone that hasn't listened to it? Because and again, I noticed your little video on sort of talking about the truth and what the truth is and that sort of thing. Yeah. I'm really interested in that whole subject because I do a lot of comms stuff. That's what I do, and I think here's my 2 pennies worth, and you can then jump in.
Go for it.
I love conversation. I feel like part of the problem of the world at the moment is that we don't allow each other to sit in conversations properly and actually get to know people. There's a lot of people that just kind of push rhetoric out there. But I think when we do make space as humans to really just sit without agenda and have conversations, then we get closer to truths. I don't think we ever find a truth. I think we just understand each other's truths a little bit more. Yeah. So where are you coming from?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was just sort of like, it's like, but my thoughts change on it all the time. But it's like, it's almost like, we've all got this little, the black mirror in our pocket, and it's all putting stuff out, and it's all very one-way traffic with that. But when you so it's very easy to get caught up in what you're thinking and pushing what you're going out, and it's like trying to reach further. But listening to other people is just as important. I think your opinions, like if it is just one-way traffic, it's very easy to those opinions to become extreme. You know what I mean? But it's almost like with this like social media mirror, we're only going one way, and we're not seeing that effect personally on other people, and just have it. It's surprising. And the weird thing about it is people are surprised when they actually get challenged, and instantly it turns into a fight. But at the same time, I wouldn't put the entire blame on social media, because I think media in general, like for our entire lifetimes, and probably even going further back in that, has pushed just one narrative. And if people know that narrative, it just doesn't relate to what they're doing. And that void gets filled with social media. So it's both things working at the same time.
That's where I think music and art is important.
Yeah. The primary thing is to divide people as well. Because if you're in your little box and not talking to anyone else, it's just, it's easy. You know, it's like it's a communication tool, but it's isolating people like massively. And you know, we need to get out there and see people face to face, and whether that's go down to the pub or you know, like join a local group. But you know, it's like everyone's got something to say, and it's like, you know, you see it. You know, when you have an opinion in politics, everyone goes like, "Oh, shut up, you're a musician." It's like, well, my opinion's just as valid as yours, and I'm by me putting out my opinion doesn't mean that I'm saying it's more right than yours. It's like, you know, everyone's an individual and everyone has their own truth, and you know, let's talk about it.
It's where you've got to, you know, it's just where you've got to along your journey with the information you've been given. You know, that's where we all are. It's really interesting because I had a conversation in a different podcast a few days ago with someone that headed up like big security at massive events like big festivals and stuff like that across the country. And one of the things, and relating it back to music, one of the things they said was, you know, when you go to a big festival and people are lifted up together listening to music, and then you come out and there's like, you've all got to get onto a tube train or whatever, and that infrastructure's not made for it. Right. She said it's actually one of the safest places, statistically, it's one of the safest places you can be because people have had that communal shared experience. They will look after each other. Yeah. And that's quite interesting. I feel like that is part of the amazing thing about music is that it breaks down those barriers between people, even if it's for a few minutes.
Yeah, and even, you know, it's like an unspoken thing, but you know, it's like you make more eye contact with people. You just recognize that, hey, we've gone through the same experience, and it's special. It's like, and it's, you know, it feels like it's an increasingly rare thing that we get to have in the modern world as well. And it's like that's why it's so important. You know, it's like with AI coming along as well. It's like, you know, it's like people are just like there's people out there just like not talking to other humans, you know, and they're just having this like algorithm telling them they're right, and it's like, well, just talk to your mate, you know what I mean? He'll tell you you're wrong, and that's actually more valuable than someone backing up your delusions. So
what's your favorite lyric on the whole record?
I've got quite a few. I've got to say, there's
quite pleased with the whole lot, thank you.
Yeah,
it's good.
No, there's you know, I'm you know, I think I'm, you know, dealing with quite a few like serious subjects in there, but there's a bit of like stuff that amuses me as well, like the song It Comes Before the Fall, which is kind of like it's a little bit of a riff on some like an anagram from Rosemary's Baby. And it was just sort of like, but the line in there is like, he has his father's eyes, which is like a big line in the climax of the film. And it's like the songs like, it's set in the Garden of Eden. It's all a bit weird, right? But just having that little reference in there to something, just like kind of like bring the levity of it down a bit. And you know, there's also a little reference to Spinal Tap in there, which is the way that God made us.
Oh my!
A lift from Spinal Tap in a song it's my attempt at sort of like dealing with misogyny.
You know what you need to do now, don't you? You need to pre-record for when you go live. That scene from Spinal Tap where you get lost in the dressing rooms and keep going round.
Oh yeah.
Just put it out on the screen for the audience, like you know. Here's us getting lost. Did you see the new Spinal Tap movie when it came out?
No, I was too scared.
I haven't seen it yet either. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm, you know, I was thinking of doing that. There's a new Iron Maiden movie out as well soon, isn't there? I've
I was just like seeing a few things about that. So yeah, hopefully get to see that soon.
Why choose the type of music that you've made on here? Why that kind of big rock sound?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think, you know, a lot of people who know me from the Ash thing will be quite surprised that, you know, I'm doing something that's like, it's not just musically different, but very tonally different from what Ash do as well. But it was like, there's a lot of things that fed into that. You know, it's like, you know, the bands I grew up with as a kid, like Iron Maiden, as you say, was one of the first bands I got into, and then that led into like Black Sabbath, who I absolutely love, and Led Zeppelin. But also Steve Strange, who he was a massive metalhead, and you know, he loved the Dio era Black Sabbath.
Oh.
I was more into the you know, the first 5 albums or whatever, or my kind of era, even though I wasn't even born when all the classics came out. So that was, you know, I think when he passed away, it was like we were just finishing like Ash's like much delayed COVID tour, which was like rescheduled about 5 times, and that was like going to be a cathartic moment finishing that at the Roundhouse, and he passed away the night before that, and it was almost like this gig became a wake for him. And then, you know, it was like did the gig and then split the next morning back home. And it was just, I guess my way of being close to him. I started writing these riffs and stuff. And then there was like a few, like there was like an awards do in Belfast for the Northern Irish music thing. And a mutual friend got in touch with me. He was like, would you like just like record a few words and just do a little tribute to Steve, because you know we don't have anything, and it was like if you don't do it, no one's going to do it. So it was like with doing that, it almost felt like I was like kind of like a guardian of his memory for a bit, and then that kind of spiraled into that, and it was like it was almost like I was going to do like a tribute album to him, but that just became like way too heavy. So the project, it kind of gets shelved for like probably about 9 months until I came back to it, and I listened to it and it was like, oh, you know what, there's something in here. And as I was listening to it, it was almost like I had him sitting on my shoulder going like, you know, you don't have to write this about me. I'd still be proud of this whole thing no matter what it's about. So that kind of let me off the hook a little bit, and I was like, right, what do I want to write about? And I you know, it's like making it so different from Ash. I think, you know, musically it was going to be quite different as well already at that point. And then it was like, okay, it's like I need to figure out what I want to write about, because I'm not the sort of person to write like, you know, like great love songs like Tim does. That's just not in my.
You're not going to do a Christmas album with.
No.
No.
Well,
no.
Never say never. You know what I mean? A metal Christmas album.
A metal Christmas.
I'm sure it's been Bad News have done it.
Oh, do you
Cashing
know
in
what?
Christmas.
Do you know what? You're one of the only people that actually understand that reference, right? The amount of times I've told the story about Bad News on here, and it's one of my favourite scenes from Bad News is the bit where he goes down to the basement to show her that the ghost of John Lennon has visited him and has given him the song Imogen. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he's just going, do, Imogen, all the people. Like, yeah. She's like, no, it's Imagine. No, it's Imogen.
Brilliant.
It's such a great moment. Yeah. Would you like, and mind you, Bad News, when they made that film, they played Donington that year. Would you love it if you got invited to play Donington?
I mean, I would, but you know, it's just like I'm like juggling 2 bands here, so it's difficult. You know, it's like Ash is like a busy time for our summer festivals are busy time for Ash as well. So it's hard to commit to doing any festivals and stuff. So, you know, we got this run of 3 gigs. Now we'll see where it goes. You know, it's like obviously it has to fit around what I'm doing and what the rest of the band are doing as well. But you know, I think we're all loving it so far, and yeah, we'll see where we get to. That
would be cool though, especially if like you know, you could open for like one of the big bands at Donington. You'd be like, okay, look, even though I'm the other side of the country, I'm going to have to get there, do that, and then get back again. I just have to do that. Yeah, I mean, it would be the dream, but you know, we'll see. I mean, Ash should play Download this year, so you know. Oh, there you go. A third of Burners Witches is going to be there already. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. You just need the other 2 to turn up and just make it happen. You know, put it all together. Do you think will there be more from this band, this group? And if you do more, would you actually write stuff with the other 2 now that you've kind of formed together as a band, or? It's a weird one. I don't know. I mean,
if I have any regrets, it was that because the album's actually been finished for like 2 years, and it's just I've
Right.
actually been so busy. It's like trying to find just like a little gap where we can do it, and we found that now, which is great. But I think in hindsight, if I'd known it was going to take this long, I would have just kept going and kept writing. It was like I was almost like, right, it's done. Have a bit of headspace, and it was like, I get it out, and then like it's good to get people's feedback before you start the next project and stuff. But it's been so long, I wish I had kept going. And from a writing point of view, if it fits, it'll be considered for sure. Just see what happens, and yeah, it would be it's like doing everything by myself. It's like I think having a band now is like it would be nice to. What I'd love to do would be to get in the studio and actually record live and maybe record the tape like Black Sabbath did back in the day. Because that differentiating yourself from the whole digital thing. And I think there's a big backlash, especially with the rise of AI music as well. It's like I think kids are looking for something that's just warts and all, and it's like you can feel the imperfections on it.
It's interesting. I spoke to a producer the other day who's very much involved with the sort of West Coast sound that's coming out of America at the moment, very much a sort of soul driven sound. And he was going that like everybody's going back to analog and trying to really push the boundaries of analog as far as they can go with it, just because it is kind of almost as you say, a backlash towards AI. It's kind of like, let's prove that there's no AI on this at all. There's no digital on this at all. It's literally as raw as you can get it. I think people are pushing that as an agenda at the moment. It's good.
For sure. Yeah. And it's like I think for a long time, like, if you actually have a conversation with people who make music, that's the music they want to make. But I think because it's like sort of everyone else is going, even before AI, like everyone's going in and like quantizing stuff and getting their sounds perfect and whatever. And it's like in their hearts, I think they want to do it like old school, but because everyone else is doing it, they don't want to put it's just like a bit of a fear of putting out a record that maybe is going to like, people be like, well, it's like that's been badly edited. It's like, no, go back and listen to the Led Zeppelin records. They weren't edited, or minimally anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like it's an art which I hope is going to come back in a big way.
Yeah, come on, go and get Led Zeppelin 1 out again.
Absolutely.
What a great album. That blues and the rock and the passion and just the voice coming out from all of that as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It really kind of speaks.
Stuff that's recorded in a week. You know what I mean? Or Black Sabbath's first album recorded in one day, mixed in another day. Second album was like a week. And it's like, would you change any of that?
No, because it came out of a real place. You do wonder with a lot of modern music whether the technology has allowed too many people to kind of overcook it.
It sterilizes things to an extent.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, there's the problem, especially depending on how your mind works as well. That just put another layer on that, or I just wonder if we just it's like, well, Shakespeare wrote "gild the lily" for a reason. As a sentence, maybe some things are just perfect the way they are.
Yeah.
So
I can now seamlessly tell you my Shakespeare story about the record.
Go on then.
Which is I think when I was just like, right, finished the last vocal. This is like 2 years ago, and I was just like, going like, oh man, is it finished? I don't know, and kind of freaking out about it. And it was like half term, so we just like rented this little lodge up in Perthshire, and got there, checked in, went for a walk in the woods, and it was like a sign saying Dunsinane Woods, and I'm like, that rings a bell. What is that? And it was like, and then suddenly it dawned on me, it's like, it's the witches in Macbeth. it's the wood that they mentioned in it. It was just like,
Yeah.
if that's not the time this record is finished, then I don't know what it is. It's just like a mad thing. I was like, right, I'm going to take it to the engineer, and he had to listen to it, and we tidied up a few little bits because it was really loose, but got it mixed, and that was the moment where I knew recording was finished.
Oh my word, that's
Yeah.
fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, just like little bits of serendipity, like getting George. And and the other weird thing is the release date, 17th of April. Got that sorted out. I told George about it, and he was like, that's Strangey's birthday. And I was like, what? I just know it wasn't in my head at all. It wasn't like, it's like everyone who worked on this recording management stuff, I worked with them and absolutely loved them as well. But no one had picked up on that until I told George, and it was just like,
wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. It's all made to be. So we know you've just told everybody when it's coming out, which is great. And how are you releasing it? Just tell people how you're releasing it so that they can go and dip into their pockets. Yeah,
so it's Fierce Panda, who Asher signed to, are putting it out, and they're putting it out digitally only. So when a management sort of like said, okay, they're just going to put it out, I was like, can we ask them if we can do vinyl ourselves then? And they were great. They were like, absolutely, go for it. So we've done like a very limited run of vinyl, and I am also not only the singer, the guitarist, the bass player, the drummer. I'm also the physical record company now as well. So yeah.
Oh wow, that's tremendous though. Do you know what? I feel like this is such a lovely DIY project, literally.
Yeah.
For you.
Well, actually, speaking of which, this is where most of it was recorded. Apart from the drums, everything else was recorded in this room.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just like this is just like a room in my house. It's like a music room. It's an absolute mess.
Do you have the same problem that all the rest of us all have with, like, pets and children and things coming in, and you have to go,
oh, yeah.
I'm recording.
Yeah, well, I mean, like a lot of it, like guitars, fine. I was just like, I recorded guitars, and anyone's not, but everyone had to be out of the house when I was recording vocals. Even though I did like backing vocals with Ash, like singing while my wife's like working in the room next door, it's just like, nah, that ain't happening. So yeah. Although there was one song I actually recorded, like the acoustic song, A Spartan Mass. That was recorded just like at a mic set here, and I was just like did it on Saturday afternoon, just like going like, lunch is ready. It's like, okay, I'll just be a minute and just like put the little thing down. And it ended up, it was just like, I was intending to re-record it with the engineer because like acoustic guitars are like, I don't know what I'm doing from a recording point of view. And we sort of had to listen to it. It's got a vibe, and that just stayed. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. It's those little stories that kind of make albums special.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in and spending a little bit of time talking to us about,
it's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so if people want to get hold of the album, we will put some links in and around this as it goes out, so that people can go and get a physical copy of the album, and you can be busy being postman.
Yeah.
walking down to the local post office, and they always ask you these days, what's in there? It's like, well, what's it look like?
Yeah. They know me very well down there, because I'm actually I'm the eBay and vintage mule in the house. So my wife's like, she's selling stuff all the time, so they know me by name down there. I don't get asked anymore. So
there you go. Oh, it's that again, is it? Okay. All right. All good. Oh, I love that. Well, thanks so much for coming and talking about this, Rick. I wish you all the best with it. That you've got a few dates in the calendar as well when you're playing live with this. Yeah. Do remind people where those dates are as well.
Yeah, we're starting on the 14th of April in Sunderland at Pop Rex. We're playing the Black Heart in Camden on the 15th in London. And we've got the Night and Day Cafe in Manchester on the 16th. And then the record's out on the 17th. So, yeah, we've got a busy week coming up.
There you go. Do you know what I remember? Sunderland's where I went to university many years ago. And I remember when it was Volume Records in Sunderland.
Wow, this is my first time ever playing in Sunderland. I think I've said this a few times, and no one's contradicted me yet. So we've even played Darlington, but never Sunderland.
Wow. And no one comes down our part of the country ever, but you know, maybe that will happen later in the year because I'm in Somerset. You know.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, lovely Somerset.
Note of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Rick has produced this wonderful album, Burned as Witches. We will allow you to go and now explore that. If you're watching this in the future, the album's already out on Spotify. At the point where it does come out, we will put it in as a link straight underneath this. So all you've got to do is move your thumb from there to there and press, and then you're listening to it, which is great for those people that really can't be asked to move their fingers and thumbs these days, which is a few people, and you'll be able to listen to it to your heart's content. But until then, from Rick and me, bye for now.